Origins, the Bridge of Lies, will put you to the test later at 4:30. Back to now, though, on BBC One, as the Defenders spring into action.
All around us, in every part of the UK, are skilled teams of eagle-eyed men and women, working alongside the police to keep us safe. They're the people on the front line, tackling the hazards that place us in danger.
This is not something we want anyone at all to ever experience.
They're cracking down on those who threaten our families.
These people prey on vulnerable people. They're just the lowest of the low.
They're protecting us on the streets and in our homes.
With telephone calls now, I don't answer it. That's how scared I am.
These men and women make up the UK's enforcement teams, our Defenders. Today, our Defenders crack down on criminals, cashing in on COVID, putting public safety at risk.
This is absolutely an example of a cynical attempt to take advantage of the pandemic.
And they investigate a death in the playground.
Alexia should have been able to come to this playground and play safely, and she wasn't.
Ever since the UK was plunged into lockdown, substandard goods, like face masks and hand sanitizers, have been flooding the market.
This is just a sample of the items that we seized.
In Ealing, West London, trading standards officers have been cracking down. In 6 months, they seized 500,000 suspect face masks and thousands of bottles of sanitizer.
This is how the face masks, the substandard face masks, normally come in. They're sort of like in an airtight bag, vacuum bag.
Mohammed Tariq is a senior trading standards officer.
This is a major problem, not just in our area in Ealing, but nationally. These goods are in great demand because of the current COVID-19 situation.
Tariq is our Defender.
Since April 2020, we've been carrying out sort of various enforcement action on importers and wholesalers and retailers supplying these products.
These masks have been imported from China. The quality is so poor, they're likely to be ineffective.
You look at the face masks and at the first sight you think there's nothing wrong with them, but actually they're just cheap quality, poor substandard goods. They fall to bits. They're dirty as well. I mean, after you look at it's not how a product should be supplied in this current climate with the COVID-19.
As well as being ineffective, they're potentially unsafe.
They've got fake CE marks on them as well to say that they've been CE tested or safety tested. So that gives us great cause for concern.
The CE mark should mean they meet basic European safety standards. But in this case, there's no evidence they've even been tested. As far as Tariq's concerned, the CE mark is fake.
To date, we have not come across any importers that have supplied us these test reports. And if they have, we've come across some just test reports either that don't sort of correspond with the products we've seized, or they're just fake test reports.
Tariq is determined to take products like these out of circulation and protect consumers.
The goods themselves are actually useless. They don't work. They're substandard goods, the hand sanitizers in particular. We don't know where they come from, what ingredients are in there. All they're bothered about is making a quick buck during this COVID-19 period, which is not acceptable and it's not right. It just absolutely angers me.
Today, Tariq's received a tip-off about a wholesaler trading in suspect face masks and hand sanitizer.
The information, the intelligence we have, that he has samples on display, and if he's got samples there, then we will be carrying out a search.
Other wholesalers in the area have already been caught selling substandard products. If they're taken to court, they could face a heavy fine or even jail.
Right, I'll show you my identification. I'm Mr. Tariq from Trading Standards.
Tarek immediately spots a suspect hand sanitizer.
The reason why we're here, we see some of those hand sanitizers from another trader, and we were told that they were actually supplied by yourself.
By law, any import like this should be tested to prove it meets basic standards.
Okay, have you got any test certificates for these?
Yes.
Can you show me them now?
I have to ask the owner.
While he's waiting, Tarek spots some face masks with designer labels.
Gucci, Reebok, and especially Burberry wouldn't supply face masks like these. Cheap, shoddy goods. There's no sort of description on them at all. Companies wouldn't supply face masks like these. From experience, these are not original face masks.
Behind the counter, there are more bags full of what look like poor quality masks. Staff say they're just looking after them for someone.
This guy's left a lot of face masks, hasn't he? This guy has left a lot of face masks.
Tarek's dubious about their explanation.
Do people often leave a lot of stuff? You want to tell me the truth?
Some of the masks claim to be medical grade, but Tarek's not so sure.
I want to see the test reports for these, yeah? It's the same sort of stuff. As you can see, there's Chinese writing on there, so nothing's in English. It doesn't say where they've come from. The state of that. Look how dirty that is. Yeah. Sir, have you got a test report for these? What, these ones as well? Yeah, could you show them to me, yeah?
Tarek wants to see proof that both the medical grade masks and hand sanitizer have been safety tested.
They need to show us test reports for these. You can't just make statements like these and tell them to a member of the public if they don't actually comply, and they just make them, you know, these sort of statements up as they go along.
If the trader doesn't have the test reports, the items will be seized. Tarek inspects the documents, but they don't relate to the product.
It's got CE there on that certificate, yeah?
There's no CE here.
But it's not got no CE there.
That's the certificate they provide us with this when I bought it from the bank.
Yeah, but that doesn't really tally up with that then, so why hasn't that got CE on there then? Do you see what I'm saying? Your documents don't relate to the products that we're taking.
Tarek and his team seize the masks and hand sanitizers and take them out of circulation.
People that are importing these products, they know the law. They know that when they import goods like these, face masks or hand sanitizers, they've got to have test reports on them.
The shop's owner has since been formally interviewed, and an investigation is ongoing. For Tarek, the crackdown on substandard products continues. Alexia Walankaki was born on the 18th of July 2009. She was the daughter her mum Vida had wanted so badly.
It was joy. A long-awaited baby, and then she was a girl as well. Bear in mind, I already have a boy, so we were all so thrilled, myself and the brother, and it was a bundle of joy.
Vida had IVF treatment. Now her family was complete.
I am not a rich person, but I spent close to £7,000 on IVF, you know, to have her. Not necessarily that I was looking for a girl, but I just wanted another child. But being a girl was a bonus to me because I have a boy already.
Growing up in Mile End, East London, Alexia was everything her mother had hoped for.
She's an intelligent girl. She's very quiet, but she's persistent. If she wants something, she goes for it. She enjoyed playing with her dolls. She had 7 of them. Alexia would line them all up on the sofa, and then she would sit in the middle, and she called them her babies.
Once she started school, she liked nothing better than going to the park and playing with her friends.
She enjoyed the park. She, you know, Alexia will forgo anything, mention the park, and then there's a big smile on her face.
One of her favourite places was the playground in Mile End Park, round the corner from her school.
We would go to the playground at least 4 out of 5 days in a week. When I pick her from school, we will head to the park. I've got so many fond memories of her in the park, and she seems to have photographs of almost all the equipment she will play with in the park. And, you know, that is really sweet if I think of her like that.
The day before Alexia's 6th birthday, Vida picked her up from school, and as normal, they went to the park.
So it was a sunny day, very sunny, bright day in July. The weather was really, really good. Alexia was playing all over the place, but in the end, she finally came to play somewhere around here to my left. And then I sat here and watched her, you know, play with her friends.
Vida was sitting on her own. Alexia was just a few meters away.
Most parents were sitting in the sun, but I sat under a tree where I could see her play, you know, and everything. And then she came to a swing, and this swing is a rope being held by 2 poles. So at this point, she looks at me and smiled, and then I smiled back at her.
Just as Vida smiled at her daughter, one of the poles started to give way. Vida rushed over. By the time she got there, Alexia was lying motionless on the ground.
By the time I got there, she was already on the floor, and 2 other kids, they, you know, had run away, and, you know, they were screaming. They were actually crying. I watched Alexia lie on the floor. I mean, she just lay there.
The wooden pole had collapsed straight onto her daughter.
Alexia was lying on her right-hand side in a recovery position, put it that way. And then the log was behind her. I want to believe that it probably rolled, hit her, and then rolled behind.
Vida was distraught. One of the parents performed CPR, trying to revive Alexia.
I knew it was bad, so I wasn't expecting any good outcome.
Within minutes, paramedics were on the scene. Alexia was rushed to hospital, but it was too late. She'd suffered a fatal head injury.
They did their best, and I'm grateful. They came quick. Within a few minutes of the call, they were there. She did not stand a chance. I didn't have any hope of, you know, I knew she was gone.
Alexia never got to celebrate her 6th birthday.
To me, I talk about it as if it happened yesterday. There's nothing about it that I will forget. And life hasn't been the same since. When I look back, I did everything right, you know, to keep her safe. But, you know, that wasn't meant to be. But to take a healthy child to a park to play and this happens, the impact is, you can't describe it. The emotional impact is too heavy, you know, on our hearts.
Later, the investigation that followed exposed safety failings that cost Alexia her life. We've seen how our defenders are cracking down on traders cashing in on COVID.
Okay, have you got any test certificates for these?
Yes.
Can you show me them now?
This post office in Petersfield, Hampshire, found itself at the centre of another COVID-related operation. This time to disrupt the supply of medical kits, claiming to be a cure for COVID-19.
This is absolutely an example of a cynical attempt to take advantage of the pandemic.
Detective Inspector Kevin Ives is part of a special City of London police unit set up to tackle intellectual property crime.
So the pandemic has definitely created a whole new area of items that people were not purchasing or interested in before.
Kevin is our defender.
We've dealt with fake vaccines here. We've even dealt with fake NHS lanyards and badges, which we use for queue jumping in supermarkets and things like that. So yes, absolutely, if there's a market for something, the criminals will try to move in and take advantage.
In March 2020, in the very early days of COVID, customs officers at Los Angeles Airport seized a shipment of 60 medical kits. These kits had arrived from the UK and were claiming to cure COVID. Back then, there wasn't even a vaccine, let alone a cure.
At that stage in the pandemic, this was back in March last year, there was absolutely definitely no cure or treatment for COVID at that point.
Each kit contained a bottle of liquid with an instruction to drink the contents and say a prayer.
It looked like quite a professional small treatment kit is what people would have received.
In fact, it was an unlicensed and potentially dangerous product. The kits had been sent from a post office in Petersfield, so Kevin and his team were alerted.
This unit works regularly with US authorities on a large number of cases, so we were a good point of contact and we were able to act very quickly.
Kevin was determined to stop any more of these potentially dangerous kits being sent out.
The first response to receiving the information on this case was that this was a really critical thing and this had to be dealt with immediately.
Officers headed straight to the post office in the hope they'd be able to intercept any more shipments.
The real key here was public safety, but we needed to make sure there were no more of these kits ready to go.
At that point, they had a remarkable stroke of luck.
As pure chance and quite a surprise to the officers, the postmaster pointed out somebody in the post office and said that they believed that was the individual that had been sending the packages.
The culprit, Frank Ludlow, had been caught red-handed. He'd walked into the post office carrying an armful of evidence.
Pure good luck, or bad luck, depending on whose point of view, the suspect walked into the post office with an armful of these kits ready to post, and those packages were ready to be sent to France, to the United States and elsewhere in Europe. So those were other individuals about to receive these dangerous packages.
Just 4 hours after being contacted by American customs officials, Kevin's team had Ludlow under arrest.
Mr. Ludlow's property was searched immediately after arrest. We needed to take out these items off the street as soon as possible.
Inside, officers found hundreds of untested and unlawful COVID kits all ready to be sent out. Packaging, labels and containers full of chemicals were seized.
We found over 300 more treatment kits, clearly going to be sent out around the world, and also around 20 litres of chemicals.
The kits were taken away and sent for analysis.
It was clear that production was not on a very small scale. It was a decent amount of these dangerous kits that were being made.
Among the chemicals seized was hydrogen peroxide, an antiseptic, put on cuts to stop them becoming infected. Other ingredients were also toxic and shouldn't be ingested.
In quantities, some of those chemicals are dangerous. These were in very small quantities, but frankly, it's not something you would really want to ingest from an unregulated, untested product at all.
Ludlow was interviewed and stood by his claim that his liquid concoction was a cure for COVID.
I think there was a part of Mr. Ludlow that thought he'd found a genius cure for COVID that no other scientific body in the world had found yet. But the fact that he was willing to put people's lives at risk to sell this totally fake treatment for COVID is still absolutely horrendous, and there is no excuse for that.
Ludlow pleaded guilty to possessing and attempting to supply an unauthorised medicinal product. In July 2020, he was given a 10-month suspended jail sentence.
What was really satisfying about this particular case was that the public harm was removed so quickly, and that was really down to working between officers in law enforcement literally thousands of miles apart.
Ludlow had already made £12,000 and had been planning to sell 1,000 kits a week. His customers were all contacted and warned about the product.
The main aim here was to remove the risk of harm to the public, and that was done swiftly and effectively. And Mr. Ludlow will not be doing this again, so mission accomplished.
Children's play areas like this one undergo regular inspections to ensure they're safe to use.
We specifically check every item of equipment, so we're mainly looking for loose fittings, anything that could fall. Rot of timber specifically is quite a big one, both at the base and on cross beams.
Patrick Middlehurst works for Playforce, a company that installs and maintains play equipment. Today, he's carrying out an inspection at a primary school.
I'll do a lap of the equipment, checking the surfacing first and having a visual look from the ground at everything, checking underneath. We've got to remember that children can be quite small, so we always try and check everything from their perspective and their height as well.
More detailed inspections are carried out annually to monitor the long-term safety of equipment.
So rotten timber, especially on the cross beams of swings, can be upwards of 200 kilos. So if that was to fall on someone, it's a very serious incident.
There are around 40,000 playground accidents a year, but serious incidents are relatively rare.
The work of inspectors is extremely important. Luckily in the UK, the accident statistics are actually quite low per 100,000 visits to play areas, and fatalities are extremely low, but they do happen.
Vida is a regular visitor to Mile End Park, where her 5-year-old daughter Alexia died.
Been to this park several times, but today sitting here just brings back, the 17th of July. All those memories, they flooded back in, and it feels like it just happened yesterday.
This park and this seat helps Vida feel close to her daughter.
I feel like coming back here, it brings some connection between Alexia and I. At the beginning, it was the only place I could come and cry, come back, picture everything that happened. It kind of reconnects me and her. I feel this is where I can communicate with her more.
Steffron Baker-Holmes is an inspector for the Health and Safety Executive.
The Health and Safety Executive is here to reduce injuries, ill health and to protect people.
Steffron is our defender.
When something like this happens, it really brings home how important that is.
Children's playgrounds should undergo regular safety inspections. In this case, that didn't happen, and the result was devastating.
Many of the incidents that we investigate have had really awful consequences, but it's particularly tragic that in this case we're talking about the death of a child.
On July the 17th, police and health and safety inspectors were called to Mile End Park. The playground was sealed off and evidence secured.
There was a wooden post that had snapped at the base and was lying on the floor alongside the rope where the incident had happened. It was clear that we needed to find out why that had happened.
Specialists were called in to inspect the wood and work out why it had collapsed with such tragic consequences.
It quickly became obvious that the post had failed at the base. Subsequent investigations with the help of a tree specialist identified that the timber itself had decayed.
The wrong type of wood had been used. It was rotten and literally crumbled under the weight of children playing. After the initial stages, the Health and Safety Executive took on the investigation.
We met with Alexia's mother to introduce ourselves and to explain what the next steps would be.
Vida wanted to establish what and who were responsible for her daughter's death.
It was really touching hearing about Alexia and what she meant to her mum and to her family and to her friends, and it really brings home the importance of making sure that people are safe in these circumstances. We assured her that we would carry out a thorough investigation.
In May 2018, an inquest ruled that the wrong type of wood and a lack of regular inspections had led to Alexia's death.
We were aware of the failings identified during the inquest, and our investigation at that point moved into the reasons for those failings.
The next step was to interview officers at Tower Hamlets Borough Council.
Playground equipment should be subject to a programme of inspections to make sure that it's safe to use. It became clear that the annual inspections were not taking place as intended.
In fact, there'd been no inspection at Mile End Park for nearly 2 years. Shelley Asquith is the TUC's Policy Officer for Health and Safety.
Everybody has a right to not just feel safe, but to know that they're safe when they're going about their daily lives. There's an expectation that every piece of equipment that you're using, every ride that you're going on, has been checked to make sure that it's safe, that inspections have been carried out. That is absolutely fundamental.
I was so upset because had we known, if the public knew that they haven't inspected a park, we wouldn't use it, because it's like misleading people to think that you are going to a safe place to play, only to discover that the safe place is not safe at all.
The decision was taken to prosecute Tower Hamlets Borough Council for breaches in the Health and Safety at Work Act.
A court hearing can be a very formal process, and it's important that we don't lose sight of who it is that we've lost and what the impact's been on their friends and family.
Vida made a personal statement describing the impact of losing her daughter the day before her 6th birthday.
Alexia's mother's statement was read in court, and that gives the court an opportunity to understand the impact of what's happened.
The council admitted health and safety breaches and was fined a total of £330,000.
Alexia should have been able to come to this playground and play safely, and she wasn't. And it's important that this is recognised, that the council took responsibility and that they were held accountable for that.
Vida is grateful for the work of the Health and Safety Executive and wants to do all she can to ensure nothing like this ever happens again.
Councils across the country need to ensure that the equipment's durable, and are frequently inspected. This is not something you want anyone at all to ever experience. Things you don't expect will happen can happen within a twinkle of an eye and can change your life for life.
Our defenders are out there, protecting our families and our homes, looking after our health, our well-being, and ultimately, our lives.
The Health and Safety Executive, the expert investigators, the inspectors go in, work out what's gone wrong, and ultimately bring people to justice through enforcement action or through the courts.
They're playing a dangerous game. Infatuation, assassination, and now salvation, sort of. Watch Killing Eve on iPlayer. And what a treat on BBC Sounds. Divas, rebels and rule breakers join Michelle Visage. Mark Jacobs is the latest. Listen now.